By 3, thy way opens.
Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
We don't often talk about demos and betas and that kind of thing, but I think we both had kind of some weird passing interest in the Diablo IV Beta this weekend for some reason.
Yeah.
Which I never realized you were a Diablo person, and you were like all on board with this, like texting me Thursday night, like, "Oh, Diablo Beta's up! Like, you gotta get it. I just got a notification." I did not realize you were that into Diablo.
I don't like Diablo. I don't. You know what it was? This is gonna sound like really dumb. It was literally the marketing. I think there was like a CG trailer for it a long time ago. I was like, this just conceptually seemed it's with like every Blizzard game, every Blizzard game, like when they show that CG trailer, is like you're immediately caught, and until otherwise shown. I mean, Overwatch is very simply like the second they showed that game, I was like, not for me. But like until otherwise shown, it's like, actually, this seems like a really cool thing. So I was always like passively interested in Diablo 4. Played the third one, didn't really like it, but so I was just curious about this one. I guess I was curious. I was very curious about this game.
And I remember that because I think it was something we did a video on, because I remember us talking about like this might have been the coolest trailer there, and neither one of us cares about this game because I also don't care about Diablo. I also have only played the third game, which I thought was pretty good and interesting. So here we go. So take on Diablo 4 Beta from two people who don't overly care about Diablo. So just
that's fine. I feel like a lot of people, and the broad brush time, it's really funny. In like 1998, there was like certain games you had to have played that completely changed the trajectory of like what games you liked in the future. It was like Metal Gear Solid, Ocarina of Time, Half-Life,
Final Fantasy VII,
StarCraft, and then Diablo 2.
Yeah.
And like if you played or an Unreal Tournament and Counter-Strike. But there's this like weird spread. It just like dictated where you would go.
So there's which like 1998 game is the one that is the like trajectory, the starting point of your video game skill tree, and maybe you branched off 1 or 2 points from there, but you stuck with that one.
Exactly. And then I'll also throw Roller Coaster Tycoon and The Sims in there. So I just never played Diablo. And so I came to this game really curious because I think that trailer was really cool. I played Diablo 3. And my impression of Diablo 3 was it was really easy, and the story was a lot of proper nouns that I just like did not understand what the fuck was going on. And then this one immediately was like slightly more challenging. I'll say slightly more challenging. It was very still early
areas.
I was
going to say I kind of walked through it. I wasn't quite sure which difficulty to pick just because I could never remember if Diablo is a hard game or not. So I think I picked the easier one, but I pretty much walked straight through this thing.
I picked the harder one. I never used a health potion. I never got below 90%. I played this game for like 3 hours. But I think the thing that I really liked about this, just like to start off, is like it plays that CG trailer again, which is just a really, really affecting opening to like any game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Just this really... it takes the world really seriously. It's a really violent world. And I like that it felt pretty unique because I think like when I think back to like and I could be totally wrong about this, like when I was thinking back to the original Diablo, I mean they're kind of like a dark fantasy, but this is like pitch black. We're gonna take this really gross, horrible fantasy world,
pulling
really
the blood out of people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a genuinely scary opening.
Yeah, you have the one character who's like super intense about every little thing, and it's like, okay, and just very double crossed, very concerned about, I can't read this, I can't do it. It very much gives you this like sense of intensity, this sense of dread of like, we're doing bad things right now.
And I liked that. I like the war. I from a person who's not a fan of Diablo, like this showed me the world of Diablo. It's like, actually, this is the hook for me, because I think with Diablo 3 I just hopped off it so quick because the game was too easy and I just wasn't interested in the world. But like the hook, and the thing I was saying before I didn't like about Diablo 3 was all these proper nouns, and this one is like, you just need to know who Lilith is and maybe who this angel guy is, and like doesn't really matter the rest. It's like I just really like how it just kind of like simplified, and then it really immediately, besides that CG opening, I don't want to spoil the opening mission, but it had a very interesting sort of twang to it that I wasn't expecting. That then set up another cutscene that was like, oh, this is, nope, we're still taking this world very shockingly violent. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the in-game cutscenes also look really nice. But I I was hooked so hard in just the setting before even the gameplay start. I still think the gameplay is kind of at odds with the tone because the gameplay is really arcadey and fun in a way that I think kind of I don't know how do you feel about the gameplay?
So and this is the thing with Diablo and these types of games. I have to be in the mood for these, and because it's very much just I played Barbarian, which is very much just like you got your couple sword attacks, just hold them and run through people, which fine, cool, works. That's if I'm going to play one of these games, it's going to play all of them as. That's how I played through Diablo 3. That's how I'm going to play through this if I go through it. But it's just that like I need to be in the mood for collecting stuff. I need to be in the mood for just mowing down hordes of enemies at a time and not really putting too much thinking into it. Now, again, I think both of us are not the like, I'm going to make 6 runs through this game and crank the difficulty and blah, 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 blah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's where the difficulty peaks in some of these things. But I felt very much like I was just kind of walking through. And again, I think I picked the easier one, so maybe that's on me. But
I'll agree with you on all this stuff. Even I played the quote unquote higher difficulty.
Yeah, and then to me, I played this thing for maybe an hour, and I think I had 5 or 6 different weapons that I picked up and had to go down through and equip, and that just drains me so quick. Like, oh, I killed an enemy, now I need to jump in the menu, put that one in. Oh, I killed an enemy, now I need to jump in the menu, put that one in. It's not a loop that I enjoy. I'm not a fan of like. I like JRPGs, but I am not a fan of a JRPG that requires me to grind like crazy. I don't mind games like this. I like fun arcadey games. I don't like ones that make me go through and upgrade over and over and over again. I can't, like Borderlands, I can't get into. I don't like changing my gun every 3 seconds. Give me my weapon. Let me go play. I don't need to jump in and out of menus every second.
I definitely agree with you on some point, but as a person who plays Destiny, I think this is like way better than like other ones, because I think the thing I really, really enjoy about this is this inventory should just be copied for just basically every game. You dig in a bunch of crap, which is kind of annoying, but it's so easy to check the stats and swap it out, which is like when I play Destiny, like when you pause Destiny, the screen goes black and it comes up with your character sheet, and then you kind of go over to a gun and then you highlight the gun and then you pick the gun you want. And this one, it's just like, you like pull up like almost like a sidebar menu of your inventory and then you just like click, click, done. And I thought of all like that sort of type of, I don't know what you call it. Diablo, it's not games as a service because Diablo, came up with a system before games as a service was a thing, but it's that game as a service sort of like loop, Borderlands, Destiny type of loop where you just keep getting more and more loot. I did like how quick it was to swap out, but I do agree that it was just overbearing because like I think by the time, like, 'cause I played about 3 hours of the beta, I think maybe 2 to 3 hours of it, and by the end, like the stuff like I said, I had gone through maybe 2 or 3 times as many shields and whatever else that you had as well, which is I guess it's just part of the game. The one thing I did like though that I feel like the immediate gameplay again is not a lot of thinking, but I did like the skill tree. I don't know how deep you got in the skill tree. It was interesting how I could kind of point my character to where I wanted. So I played as a necromancer, which means I get to summon a bunch of skeletons, and I could focus on making my skeletons stronger and like figuring out ways that could like kind of facilitate that, or sacrificing my skeleton so I could do like more like a one-hit guy. And it was kind of neat. Like I felt the problem I had with Diablo 3. It was really hard to figure out like when I could start like forming my character. I even asked online one time, it's like, okay, when do I actually start messing with my character? I was like, oh, when you beat the campaign. I was like, that sucks.
and that is also one of my issues with these games is I feel like everyone's like, no, just wait till your 3rd time through. Your 3rd time through. That's good. And that drives me crazy.
And it felt like this time, though, at least the skills I was picking, like I felt I was strategizing a little bit, not as a gameplay, but in the skills I was picking, I could immediately feel, it felt like more immediate, I guess, where I was making those decisions because every skill I picked felt immediately good instead of like, having to level 20 hours before it felt good. I did that part I did like a lot.
So ultimately, beta, test out this thing. Where are you at? Are you like all in on Diablo 4 now? Because I feel like I'm kind of getting mixed signals here. Well, I feel like I'm getting generally positive feelings from you on this one here.
I mean, I went from like curious to like way more interested now. It was really funny. There was a point I was playing the game where I was like, okay, I'm feeling that Diablo 3, it's too easy. What's the point? kind of thing. It's like, why am I even here as the player? Because it is pretty easy. And they had like a new story hook swerve, and I was like, okay. And then I did this side mission, this really cool little story thing. I think I went to this thing being like, okay, Diablo, let's see what you got. And the thing that really hooked me was the story and the setting, and then also the gameplay tweaks they made where it felt like I actually did kind of matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I was doing with my character and how I was playing my character, and like mattered immediately. So I'm like way more interested in this. Like I was hovering over the pre-order button. I was like, I'll wait till like the first expansion or something like that. I know you overall though, like you're like, this is just more Diablo 3. You're not really into it even if the setting's cool.
I like the setting. I like the story. The cutscenes were great. Kind of got me hooked there for a minute, and then I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, where there's just that tension between the cutscenes and the gameplay. Yeah, and it was one of those where it was like, as soon as I jumped from the cutscene into the game, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm just walking up this mountain, smashing down whatever. Yeah. Okay, I'm good. Yeah. It's one of those where I think I'm interested. I'm definitely not hovering over the pre-order button right now. Sure. I think it's one of those where sometime in the next 2 years I will play this when I'm like, you know what, I could spend 20-30 hours just kind of grinding through, picking up some gear, having a fun arcadey time. I don't see me buying this whatever day it comes out. That's not going to be on my list for sure.
That's fair. I mean, I'm kind of the same. It's not like when I was like pre-ordering, I'm like, do I really want it? That realistically, 2025 will be our best game that didn't come out this year.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we are Workforce Gaming. We try to have new videos up every Monday. Leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.